at Coach Billick on Twitter, the Super Bowl winning head coach from the Baltimore Ravens, back here on the program. How are you, Coach?
Good morning, sir.
What's the strangest pregame fire-up speech you've ever heard from a team captain or a quarterback, Coach?
Oh, wow. I had some pretty good ones. Ray Lewis would come to me maybe 3 times a year and say, let's go. Let me take this one, which I deferred to very quickly. Say, absolutely. He was strategic about it, and he would have some fired up that would get me going pretty good. I had one old-time player tell me when that kind of lost it when George Allen told him, hey, we'd win this game, I would give up my firstborn child for a win today. and that's when he said, okay, wait a minute, we've gone into that realm of this is not rational.
The E to W thing, Coach. I mean, what does Dirk Cutter do when he sees that video of that's what he said to his teammates? You could just see them looking at him like, what is he thinking, Coach? I mean, what does Dirk Cutter do after that? And Mike Evans goes at Marshawn Lattimore, and he's got to bench his quarterback for Ryan Fitzpatrick, and the season is going down the tubes, 2-6 for an ownership that has had an itchy trigger finger on multiple occasions, leading to him getting the job for Lovie Smith. What is he thinking today, do you think?
Yeah, this is a tough one because, and Rich, I do 20 shows a week of these, the radio shows.
Yep.
And in the cities where you're just talking about, whether it's New York, whether it's Tampa Bay, whether it's in Cincinnati, whether it's wherever, you can pick the hot spot where you start the discussion about, okay, the coach is losing the locker room. All right. Now, I'm a coach, so I'm going to burr up on that a little bit. Coach doesn't lose the locker room. A locker room loses itself. No player plays for a coach. Okay, you may like the guy, you may not like the guy. You may respect him or not. You may believe in what he's doing or not. But you're not playing for a coach. And so when I hear that a coach is losing the locker room, no, they're losing themselves. And this is just symptomatic, and it's typical, and we're going to stereotypical. We see it all the time. So the challenge for whether it's obviously in New York and Tampa Bay, any of these teams that are struggling, that coach has got to, jump on it right away, and some with more strength than others. I mean, it's an institutional problem. If the institution can jump in and say, look, this guy's not going anywhere, that gives the coach latitude to say, look, guys, one thing I do know, I'm going to be here next year. So the question is, are you? And you got to show me over these next 8 weeks why I should keep you on this team. Now, if a coach doesn't have that strength, now you're getting into a tough dynamic.
So is Jameis Winston a quarterback do you think that can win in this league?
Well, I think there are legitimate questions about it. We've seen signs of it, but compared to some of the other, and we've talked about this before, Rich, I love where we're at the quarterback situation with the young quarterbacks coming up in this league. We've been through times when that transition from the Hall of Famers going into what's the next group, there's been a little bit of a void. There was a little bit of that situation in 2000 when we won our championship. But right now, however you view the old guard, whether it's Rodgers, Brady, Roethlisberger, Breeze, on and on, we got a group of good young quarterbacks, whether it's, obviously we're seeing Carson Wentz and the growth of Jared Goff, and I like Mariota and Dak Prescott and the like. Is Jameis Winston in that group? Not yet, because there are some inconsistencies there that I'm not ready to write them off and say no, but there's some inconsistencies there that have got to give you concern before you put him in that group of, this is a group of young bucks coming forward. Brian
Billick here on the Rich Eisen Show. Do you think the Giants are going to let Ben McAdoo decide whether Eli Manning gets benched and take a look at Davis Webb? Do you really think he has that authority in New York?
No, at the best of circumstances, unless you're Bill Belichick, that's an institutional decision. That's one that's got to be made at all levels. And you could certainly understand it, but Eli Manning giving even if it's not someone at Eli Manning's level, anytime you make a change of quarterback for whatever the reason, because you're basically saying, and probably rightfully so, okay, look, we're done. So we're playing for next year, and we got to answer some questions for next year. Whether you think Eli Manning is going to be your starting quarterback there or not, you got to find out. Do we need to? Because we're going to be in position, sadly, for one of these good young quarterbacks that supposedly is coming out. We got to make a decision. Do we want to be in that market or not? Or do we have a guy on campus, a.k.a. David Webb, that, no, we don't have to extend those resources. So those questions have to be answered, and the only way you're going to answer them adequately is if David Webb plays.
So if I had to give you the choice between 3, 6, and 2 teams in the NFC to say which one is built to go longer, Vikings, Saints, Rams, we could just throw the Eagles out of the mix because they're 8-1 and Wentz is playing out of his skull, and Jay Ajayi's now added to that mix with that defense. It looks downright scary. Which one do you think has a chance to go longest, Rams, Saints, or Vikings here, Coach?
Rams have the fewest questions because you look at the Saints as well as the defense is playing. Drew Brees is going great. They're running the ball. So they got that pedigree. Is the defense for real? They're showing signs of it. They're better, but that still has to be a question mark. Minnesota, what's the quarterback situation? You know, you got the defense. It looks like a pretty good all-around team. Indeed, can Case Keenum, or is it, does Brad, the new guys come in, and do you look at Bradford? Is he going to be back? What about, Bridgewater? So there's enough questions there so I go with the Rams because I have the fewest questions. Quarterback's improving. Running game looks solid. Defense was very, very good, and their special teams may be the best in the NFL. So they have the fewest questions. Let's put it that way.
It is remarkable. I mean, all the Rams needed yesterday in MetLife was 13 points to surpass the previous season's entire points total, and they got 51, and they have a half a season to go. They are going to obliterate whatever record is sitting there for a 16-game points improvement. What has Sean McVeigh done from your estimation? I mean, you coordinated one of the greatest offenses in the history of this game, Brian. What do you think Sean McVeigh is doing and has been able to pull off?
Well, he's pressing all the right buttons. He's got the right people doing it, obviously, with Wade Phillips as his defensive coordinator, John Fossil as his special teams coach. So again, I'm a coach, so I'm naturally going to lean towards that. It's great coaching. But when you look at Jared Goff, you talk about the points and going from where he was to still a sub-500 throw year, projected-wise. But under 500 throws, he's projected for over 4,000 yards. He's at that 60% mark, 26 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. Now, we're not going to slam dunk him in the Hall of Fame over that, but you've seen a steady. In fact, I'm going to do a thing on Playbook on Wednesday about Jared Goff and how intelligently McVeigh has brought him from, when you look at early in the year, it was all boots and waggle, play action, and throw what you see. And then begin to progress a little bit into a little bit more of the drop back, throw at the top of the drop, get you in a 5- and 7-step drop, throw it at the top, or put the thing away, to now where it's, okay, more progression reads. So Sean McVay gets a lot of credit for bringing Jared Goff along in a very systematic and programmable way from game one to where we are now, to where that growth with minimal turnover, that growth is getting to the point where he can be clearly on solid footing as one of the solid quarterbacks in this league.
All right. Before I let you go, I guess let's take a look at these 4-4 teams. You got the Redskins, the Falcons, and the Cardinals in the NFC. I mean, which one do you think has the ability to go on a run here? I mean, Adrian Peterson ran the ball 37 times yesterday. They take on Seattle on Thursday Night Football at home, short week. Seattle just got beat by the Redskins with Kirk Cousins. And then the Falcons, I mean, I don't know what's happened with them, hangover or not. Which one do you think has got maybe a second-half run in them in the NFC?
You know, Arizona, you liked what they did the other night, but come on, it was San Francisco. So, you got to qualify it a little bit. The Redskins, when you look at them play and the way Cousins is playing, I think Greg Minuski is doing a great job on the defense, given the personnel they have. You wonder, how are they 4-4? And they're better than that because they've been a player too. They could be 6-2 very easily. Now, you can always say that about every team, and it's laughable when you say it sometimes. It's always like the defensive coordinator to say, well, other than those 3 plays where we gave up 400, and whatever yards, we really did pretty good. But Washington's the one I look at and go, you know what? They're better than that 4-4 record is. Atlanta is just, they're hard to figure out which Atlanta team you're going to get. They have the potential to be better than that. So if you ask me outright, because of I've seen Washington on a more consistent basis do more good things, I'd say Washington.
It's unbelievable, isn't it? I mean, the Falcons have a hangover, correct? Wouldn't you say it's official?
Yeah, I mean, what we say coming in? If they start out well, fine, they can put it behind them. Well, they start out 3-0, but they could have been 1-2 very easily. And so we dismissed it as going, well, yeah, no, they're no hangover. They're fine because they beat the Bears, the Packers, and the Lions. Then they went, on this 4-game skid, beat the Jets, Now they lose to the Panthers. They've got the Cowboys and the Seahawks coming up. We're going to find out in the next 2 weeks whether indeed there's a hangover, or we can officially say, okay, no, they just, as much as they've tried and said all the right things, they haven't gotten past this, what happened last February.
Last one for you. I'm sure you heard on Sunday Night Football, both Tony Dungy and Rodney Harrison said the Texans should reach out to Colin Kaepernick ASAP. Let's just remove all of the off-the-field questions, all right? How quickly could a coach get him up to speed based on knowing him and knowing the offense that the way Deshaun Watson was running it for Bill O'Brien?
Well, you can get it up to speed, but he's not going to be Deshaun Watson. He'll give you a few things outside the pocket. He's not going to do in the pocket anywhere close to what Deshaun Watson did. That's why people are hesitating on Colin Kaepernick. All the other stuff aside, given your premise, serious questions about Colin Kaepernick and just how much he can improve and how much is left, or how much damage has been done based on the lack of progression that he's had. And now with another offense, and if he comes in and struggles, he has shown no ability to be effective within the pocket. Can he give you something outside the pocket? Sure. And that may be what Houston needs right now, just that little bit of spur. But make no mistake now, he's not going to give you a tenth of what you were seeing in Deshaun Watson previous to the injury.
Always great chatting with you, Coach. You take care. We'll chat soon. You got it.
Great.
It's Brian Billick. Check it out again, NFL Playbook, 6 Eastern on Wednesdays on the NFL Network.
For more Rich Eisen Show, tune to Audience Channel 239 on DirecTV or download the Rich Eisen Show app.